We are live. We are live once again in living color. So, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, I am good. We are in this piece. Hopefully, y'all are having some peace, man. Wherever y'all are, it is. Let me see if I could. You know what? I'm going to leave that as it is, cause yeah. It is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. TGI, or happy TGIF out there, everybody. Yay, we made it, y'all. Mama, I love you. B.O.B. holding it down. Pimp Squad, baby. Frank Deasy. So it's Friday. We made it today. We are talking about In the Eye of the Storm, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get straight into it. Don't forget to tap the screen. Don't forget to follow. All that good stuff. Let's see if this thing is going to work. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does. Okay, so yeah, so getting straight into it, we're talking about we are talking about the eye of the storm and how miraculously I remember I had I have a cousin. I remember years back, he told me a story of like because he's like in his walk with God and everything, and he told me a story of how like everybody's house around him got damaged except for his. So let's see if this thing it's always doing something weird. I'm serious. So we are talking about we are talking about the eye of the storm, and we are talking about how everything around you is shifting, everything around you is moving. Again, if you watch TV, it's breaking news or a million and one things are happening around you, but people are wondering like how you're so calm, cool, and collected. They're like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on over there at the Jones house? What's up with those two brand new vehicles sitting out there? While people are they're a lot of people out here are going through it, so to speak. Except for you, because you are you are going through like this major transition and all of this good stuff. And thank y'all so much for joining me on this happy TGIF. Thank y'all so much for joining me on this TGIF Friday. What message? Yeah, so oh, okay. Yeah, so thank y'all for joining me on this big Friday. So yeah, so basically being caught up in the eye of the storm, you feel the most powerful variant of that storm because you're dead smack in the center of it, and walking in, basically now you are aligned, you're walking within your true self, you're walking within your true power. Everything everything is naturally attainable for you right now. Your mind, your mind should be open to these amazing, immaculate things that can come and shape that can come and shape your life. You may say, well, Sullivan, man, what are you saying? And blah, blah, obedience. You have to be obedient on this walk. You really and truly, you really and truly, you have to be. I know we are very stubborn. A lot of us are. We are very, very, very. We are very, very, very stubborn, and who we are, and we want it now. We want it like that. That's who sing the song Backstreet Boys. I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but you know what I'm saying? Like we want it that way. We want it we want it our way. But doing this walk, doing this journey, you have to. I'm trying to get this thing together over here. So you have to, you have to stay the course, and you really have to, you have to stay the course, and you have to be obedient. Even when you're in the eye of the storm, even when you're transitioning and you feel something is immaculately, and you feel something. Uh, Somebody has me laughing over here. you know, um, you feel something immaculately and miraculously changing in your life, and a lot of it is like, what's going on? Like, you like, well, Sullivan, man, how do you, how do you do it, and how do you, you use the time wisely. You try not to go out of your mind. You try, you do your best. That's how you handle it. You do your best. Seriously. Speaking of what's going on, Miss Storm, and we are talking about being in the eye of the storm. Ha! You can't make this stuff up. But you do your very best. It's like you pray, you write it down, you manifest something. You're like, I'm ready for a new move, and this and that, and maybe it comes in shifts, maybe it comes in waves. You move, you move to this new city. You do, you get to move to this new city. You're excited, and you're like, okay, cool. I moved to this new city, and all right, now I got to do this, and now I got to do that, and sometimes you got to be patient. It starts to come together. You're like, oh, I really need to find something to do with myself while I'm out here. And you're at this random store, and this random lady comes up to you, and whoever says, hey, are you looking for, a job, or blah 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 blah. And you're like, wow. You're like, yeah. I was, that's interesting. I was just thinking about that. Power of your mind and the power of your thoughts is very, very, very key. So going, like, willing it into helping to will it into fruition, going from going from trying to get this thing to work. Going from I think I can to going from I think I can to I know I can, going to taking yourself up to different levels. That's what it's about. Like, if if I go, it's like, if I go to the gym, I go work out, I'm trying to see results. The only way I'm going to do that is by changing my diet, eating right, all being consistent with being consistent. People say, you want to see your social media numbers grow. Be consistent. Go live. Go live. Post this means that. You find you're going to find what works for you. That's the important thing. Thank y'all so much for joining. And if y'all be so kind to tap that screen over here on the TikTok side of things. Yeah. So that's the important thing, man. Just really and truly being consistent and manifesting the type of people that you want around you. This isn't the season to be around a bunch of scrubs. It's not. It's really, really not a season, to be around a bunch of. So especially if you're on a spiritual level and you're here, you wanna be with people that's here, or up, way up there. You don't want to be around people that's still doing the same old, talking the same old, having the same old, whatever, whatever, around them, man. Because God is elevating you. God is elevating you, in this season, in this now, and there's no denying that, because I know because I know you feel it like I feel it, like, really and truly. Those people are, it's like, you know, it's like y'all are, I don't know, y'all are out swimming, and it's like these people are boulders, man, trying to bring, it's like you're tired, you've been treading water, you see the island right there, and it's just right, it's right there, and you swim for it, and you're just like, yeah, look, and this season I have to save me. I have to do, I have to do what's best for me, and that's what it is. We are in a season where you have to make righteous and tough decisions. You really do. Cannot have anything or anybody holding you back or holding you down. You cannot have your mindset holding you back or holding you down. There is no I can't. There is only the I will, the great that I am. There is just there is just that. There is just there is just like just this supernatural, um I'll say divine. There's just this divine supernatural wave that's around you, and you're riding it, like you're really really riding this wave, and there's a balance to this thing. You don't have it, you don't have time to be trying to drag anybody else or whatever, because you know what's at stake this time. Like I've already gotten on myself for like 2020 and whatever. You because sometimes we think like, oh man, I had the opportunity to do this, to do that, and whatever. That didn't take shape. Sometimes we get sneak previews of coming attractions. You do. And I'm like, maybe like y'all, I'm like, it's like, what, 5 years later, trying to get this thing. Yeah, so it's like 5 years later, so what are you gonna do? You're gonna rest on your laurels and look back at what could have been, or are you looking at it now at where you are, who you are, and um what is to come? That person left your life, all woe is me. But when you think about it, you really think about it. You're like, man, I really dodged that bullet. I'm thankful to the people that didn't stay in my life, or that didn't choose me, that didn't call me for that party. Who know? I mean, you never know. If you have a close relationship with God, your ancestors, and all of that, you are protected 6 ways from Sunday. You have no idea. I have no idea. Seriously, like the you, it's it is miraculously what it is. But again, we're in the eye of the storms. We're in the eye of the storm. People say that like this is a year of nine. I don't look that number up. You know, see what that means. But um, things are about to unfold in your life. The picture seemed fuzzy. It did. The picture seemed some things seemed unattained. Some things seemed very much so unattainable until you're doing them. And you're going to be doing it. You're going to be doing it effortlessly. It's time to reshift. It's time to retool. That time for you is why am I getting all of these in sync songs? I don't know. You remember that song that was like bye bye bye, don't fool for you. Don't be hating, cause it ain't no lie, baby. Bye 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 bye. I'm not a singer, but y'all get the drift of what I'm trying to say. I don't know, but it's time to say bye to all of that stuff. That's why you cleared all of that stuff out. That's why all of those old friendships were over. That's why you were taking away from that toxic place, from that toxic environment that didn't give you that didn't give you what you needed and what you were worth. So when you're looking at yourself in a one-on-one situation, when you're looking at yourself, when you are when you're looking at yourself in that mirror, you're you're telling yourself at this point, because I'm hearing a lot of stuff about fear, lately, as I scroll through social media. I hear a lot of stuff about fear, and you never know, man. That one email, that one phone call, I remember. Ooh, this was 2018. There was the lady Peaches. No, so there was a lady. I always heard a story of a lady who wrote. The man. Her name was, I think her name was Sophia Stewart. So I always heard the story about how she sued these people and she won and she wrote the story. And I was curious one day, and I just so happened to find her number, and I called her, and she picked the phone up. It could go just like that, man. I'm telling you. And that was 2018, I believe. And we had some cool conversations. We really did. And I still follow. I don't talk to her as much these days, but I still follow her on social media. And sometimes you know, s- somebody said this. Let them tell you no. Seriously, and you never know. If you send the email, you make the phone call. You never. You remember that old commercial from back in the day? That dude was talking about, you're on the sofa, you're blah 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 blah. You could be, going to the school, changing your life, something something something. I forgot that it was like for some community college online or something like that. But it's the truth, just reaching out, one phone call, one really and truly, one phone call, you just trying, that could really and truly change everything. And you being in the eye of the storm, you have a covering around you. It may feel like a bit of a headache, slightly. It, like, really and truly, hold on, let me, it may feel like a bit of a headache, but truthfully, I would rather, um I would rather my head hurt just a little bit in obedience than be in disobedience. Instead of saying, like, you're saying, like, you know what, I'ma just try this my way. And you've probably have done that. I don't know how many times, but just to say that in the now, um why not try something different? Why not go to God, go to your ancestors, ask for guidance, really and truly. In the times that we are living in, there's, well, y'all see what's going on out there in the natural, but the how long have I been on here? Oh, okay, cool. So, but the important thing is that supernatural insight. I mean, if you've heard any stories in the Bible, or you've heard the stories of your ancestors through oral tradition, you know what they are capable of. And if they are capable of that, so are you. That's why we're talking about being in the eye of the storm, because someone or some beings, they do have their eyes on you. You do. It's like, oh, I was going through this, and we worry about this, then we worry about the next thing, and we worry about the next thing, and we worry about the next thing, but we forget how everything worked itself out previously. We are so quick and fast to forget. Like, really and truly, we are so fast. We're so fast in see, it's like when you're not messing with. Yeah, so we are so fast, and we're so quick to forget, how things played out previously. So when you move forward and you're manifesting, when you're praying, you're doing multi-level prayers. You're being thankful for everything in your life, and you're manifesting for the times of the now, and for what is to come. So you have a if nobody, it's like somebody told me, and only one person has ever told me this, that it's like, man, you're a genius in this way, and so are you in whatever way, whatever way you move, or whatever way your life consists of, or however it is that you think, because if your thinking is a little different, are people may look at you and say, "Oh, you're strange, you're weird," whatever, whatever. Did you ride the short bus? Did you ride the short bus? As a kid, like something was wrong with you, but I'm thankful for that, because I have a second chance. I have a second opportunity. It's just like people who may go to the hospital. Maybe they're in a coma. They wake up. They're like, I have a second chance of life. Or they go through some kind of surgery and they're like, I made it through. I shouldn't be here, but I'm here and I have a second chance and going to do things differently. And so think like that. So think now. Be thankful that you're still here. You didn't make. You made some mistakes along the way, and who to say? Maybe you're going to make little, little mistakes here and there, but nothing catastrophic, like it just totally screwed your life up. Like really and truly. And I'm sure y'all could things that could run through your mind that you could do that'll really and truly like shift some things going on in your life. I don't know. Let me see. But yeah, so that is talking about being in the eye of the storm. I'm gonna open this up on over here, but we are gonna shut it down over here on YouTube. But the YouTube folks, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Look out for the shorts. I'll probably posting that in the next day or two. So yeah, and I'll be going live over the weekend as well. So all right, y'all. Let's see. We gotta